So without an API, you might have to, actually without an API, you'll have to go literally to the user, basically, to the SIM card side of things, yeah? But now since we have an API that sits in the middle, it takes away all that headache of setting up your own telco, setting up your own SIM configuration. Yani, takes away all that. So you through, say for example, through the Africa Stocking API, your school management system now is able to send SMS. Now let's use this illustration. Yeah. How many have seen this type of illustration somewhere? Maybe in a coding interview. You have? Could you explain a bit in the context of APIs?
Okay. So in the context of API, from my layman knowledge, there is a user sitting on this end, as we can see, and the user is asking for a request. Now the API is the waiter, serving both ends, his boss and of course the user. So the API will pick the request from the user and then land it to the back end, which is the kitchen or the restaurant, and then get the order ready and then bring it back to the user. If the user is satisfied, that will be it. If the user is not satisfied, they can always repeat the cycle, back and forth. But now the API is actually the waiter. There's food in the kitchen, you are the customer on this end, but you need to get the food. Who brings for you the food? The API. Thank you.
Perfect, perfect. That's such a very clear explanation. Nice. What's your name? I didn't catch. Ken. Nice, nice. Ken. Yes, so he correctly explained. So the user side, this is say like the server side. This could be your school management system. This could be like Africa Stocking on this end. And now this Africa Stocking or maybe the telco on this end. And then now the API that sits in the middle is now this waiter. Yeah? So basically you want to deliver SMSs on let's look at it. School management system server. You need to send SMS, but you don't have these functionalities. So you execute that through this middle person, which is the API. Perfectly said. So the APIs that we're going to focus on is REST APIs. And REST APIs use something we call HTTP methods to communicate. So this one, basically, they describe how you're going to send requests and how you're going to handle the responses. So some of the popular GET and POST, where we use GET to retrieve data. So basically, with GET, you don't send any body requests, and we are going to look into the structure of the request. With POST, you send some data and also get something back. Yeah. With put and patch, you use it to update data. You can send and get something. Same case with delete, but here we use it to remove data. So this is basically the standard. But in real life, you'll often find people using GET and POST a lot. These three are not that popular, though they are the standard. Other key concepts to note about APIs is the concept of endpoint, headers, body, or what we call payload, and the response. Endpoint is where endpoint is, in this case, you remember that analogy? Endpoint sits on this side. Basically, it's the URL that you're hitting. Yeah? Oh, okay. Oh, sorry. Just realized online it was muted. Okay. Sorry for that. Now we're good. So endpoint sits on this end. Basically, it's a URL that you basically some extra information that you attach to a request. Here's where you're going to find API keys. Yeah, they're going to be here. This is where you're going to add your API keys. This is also where you're going to dictate things like the content type of the request. Say, for example, the content type maybe is a form submission you're making. It's going to be multi-part. Say you're submitting some JSON. You're going to put application slash JSON. We are going to look at that in a minute. The other one here is the body or payload. So this is where you, for the case of post requests or put and patch and delete, this is where you attach, this is like the core, what do you call it? The core data that you want to deliver on the other side. Then the response is what you get in return. So in all of this, there's an aspect of response. There's also something else that's not here, and it's called status codes. Interactive platform that you get to run your code and test it out. Think like the terminal where you can write code and run it at the same time. So you can actually install Jupyter Notebook locally by where is that link? By going to jupyter.org and having this whole environment locally. But if you want a fast environment, you can just go to Google Colab. So you search Google Colab. This one. So Colab is a hosted Jupyter Notebook service that requires no setup to use and provides free access to computing resources, including GPUs and TPUs. So you can use it for running your Python code. It can actually even run Node. I think there's one for Kotlin. It's basically such a rich interactive environment. Yeah. So when you open Google Colab, it's going to prompt you whether to create a new notebook or open an existing. Yeah. Now, if you signed up to this event, there were links that were sent to this Colab, the one that you're using, yeah, for IT Module 1. But before I go to that, let me show you quickly how it looks when empty. Oh, interesting. Yeah, so mine is refusing because my Google Drive is full. Let me switch accounts. Let me switch accounts here. Yeah, so this is how it looks when empty when you're starting for the first time. So we are going to use the one that was sent in the event link. Yeah. We've already covered about, okay. Since most of it's your first time to use Colab, let me take you real quick what happens inside here. So on the left side, there is a menu that shows you table of contents. The thing about Notebook is besides writing your code, your raw code, you can also write Markdown. You can use it even to take notes. Yeah, it's such a rich environment. And the same way you can write big titles, smaller titles, you know, sentences, point form. All this gets reflected on the table of contents. Yeah. The next thing here is the find and replace. So basically, this one you're going to. It's just like how you can do in VS Code. Maybe you want to replace all semicolons and replace them with maybe a space or something. You can do that here with find and replace. Yeah. The next section here is code snippets. Yeah. So these are basically pieces of code that you can add into your notebook. The next here is called secrets, and this is where you store your environment secrets. So you do understand that with things like API keys, you cannot include them to your code, since you're going to be exposing them maybe to the person that you've shared this notebook with. Oh, it has a share feature, by the way. Yeah, so you can put your secrets in here, your environment variables, you can put them here. So instead you put them on this side, yeah, and then call them by their key, yeah. And when the code is executing, that key will be replaced by the value associated with it. Lastly, on the left, is this part called files, and this basically allows you to browse your Google Drive, or maybe upload code from your local computer. It also holds any files that you might create from your code. Say, for example, there's a piece of code here that maybe generates a CSV file. That CSV will be, you're going to see it here. Yeah. What else? Down there is a terminal. So you can use this terminal to run your commands. Here you can also see the disk space that you have, this Google Drive space. Oh, but if you have any questions, or you feel like I'm moving fast, feel free to stop me, ask, or slow me down. So before you start running anything else in your notebook, it's good to know the kind of environment that you have. And one of the ways is by running lsp_release-a. So this one tells me that I'm on Ubuntu 22, codename Jammy. Below it, another command that I'm running is piplist, yeah? So this one, I want to see what Python packages are installed in this environment. Maybe what I haven't mentioned is how you write code. So you can come, hover on a section, and click plus code, and write something. For example, let me write pwd. And then I'm going to start it with an exclamation mark. Then click run. That's how you run your code. So this pwd, I'm basically checking my current directory. Yeah, it's Linux. How many have used Linux? Ah, nice. That's a good number. That's a good number. So almost anything you can do on Linux, you can do here. And this is how you delete. Yeah, done. So up to now, we've looked into the basics of the super basics of APIs. We've also touched on Colab, seen how different features work and how you can utilize them. So now let's run our first piece of code. So if you want to use Africa's Talking APIs, you can decide to either invoke them directly or through our SDKs. We are still going to come back to the basics of APIs, but I want to show you where you can get our API documentation. So on the Africa's Talking website, here on the menu, under developers, there is documentation. So you click on documentation, and it will take you to developers.africastalking.com. And here down you're going to see documentation for all products that we have. And whenever we have new products, or whenever we are testing new products, and you want to be among the early testers, you can just add a preview parameter here at the end of this URL. Yeah, that's a hidden gem. Yeah. I start from the website. Okay. So you go to africastalking.com. Go to africastalking.com. You're there. And then on the menu, there is a link called Developers. And then when you hover on it, there is community and documentation. You click on documentation. Yeah, it's going to take you to developers.africastalking.com. Under this page, the developer documentation, you're going to see different products. So there is SMS, there is USSD, there is voice, airtime, mobile data, and WhatsApp. WhatsApp is also under something we call chat API. Whenever we have new products which are in beta test, you can always add a preview. You can always add a preview parameter, and it's going to show you what's new. And in this case, Insights. Insights is a very new product. Inside it, there is SimSwap API, and we are going to cover it in the next module. Okay, back to the... Yes. So there are different ways that you can interact with APIs. Number one is by hitting those URLs directly. Number two is by using things like SDKs. As in our case for Africa Stalking, you can install the Africa Stalking package regardless of the programming language. Oh, okay. Before I continue, people at the back, you can see the screen. Or need I zoom more? I zoom, eh? So there are different ways that Sawa? Good. Yeah, so there are different ways. You can hit the API, you can either hit the URLs directly, manually, or you can import SDKs. Yeah. So in our case, since we are going to run Python, but before I continue, how many people use Python? I want to know the popularity of languages. Okay, good number. Node.js. Okay, Java. Okay. Which other one? Scala. Okay. What do you guys use? Huh? Okay. Eh? Oh, .NET. NAT. Oh, that. Oh, okay. Interesting. Okay. So at Africa Stalking, we've covered almost all languages. But in case your language is not there, I'm going to show you how you can create one for yourself and even contribute, yeah, to open source. So click on this first cell, and what I'm doing here, I'm doing pip install Africa stocking. Yeah? Since I'm going to use Python for this. The next thing here I'm doing is importing the requests library. So I'm basically preparing my notebook to start utilizing Africa stocking. Here the reason I'm importing requests is because of this next cell. I'm going to use the request library to make API calls. Now, in this next cell, we are basically calling an API called agify.io, and it's a website that predicts in quotes, your age based on your name. So for example here, the endpoint URL is https api.agify.io. The parameters is name, which I've provided, my name is Dagi, and the response is going to come from me invoking requests.get, basically hitting it. And when I get the response, I pass it to JSON format. Yeah? And in the end, I get a JSON response here. So for example, it says the name that I've supplied, Dagi, is for someone who's 64 years old. I really look forward to being that old. So let's try running this in a different setup. And I'll do this using Postman. Yes. So you can also, how many people have Postman locally? Postman? Operate. So once you've downloaded it, you can enter I want you to notice how when I made this request without the correct parameters, I got an 200 status code. So I got 422 unprocessable entity. So this means there's something about my request that's off or missing. And in this case, I'm seeing it here, missing name parameter. So that's now where I come in and correct it by availing. And now hitting it. And yes, so now I get a 200 status code. And I also get the response in JSON, where it has count, name, and age being 74. Now, the reason I highly recommend using Postman is that it allows you to get the equivalent code in any language. Yeah. In any language, and okay, just a minute. Yeah, it allows you to get the equivalent of what you're doing on this left side, on the right. So for example, if I was using that, I've never written that, by the way, but if I was using that, and maybe I want to get things done quick, I'll just come here and say, give me the code snippet of this request, but in that, using the HTTP library. Yeah? You use HTTP library? Nice. So, and here I get the exact code. Now I can copy this code and add it to my existing code and implement my requests. So in here we also have for C#, Go, Java, name it PHP, R, can even shell, it's a lot, even PowerShell. Yeah? So this is why you should download Postman and start working with it. So now back to our code. Sorry? Oh, where you can get that notebook. Let me give you the link right now. So he's asked where you can get the notebook. So the URL is linktr.ee. So https linktr.ee, then /at, A and T, then underscore, then Google, Google. So when you go to that link, first of all, you get the registration link inside, the Google developer place where you can set your Google developer profile. You also get information on Google Cloud credits. You also get links to account registration. Yeah, like so. Then down there, at last, you get Module 3 Introduction to APIs with Africa's Token Notebook. So when you click on it, it should take you here, and now you can click open with Collab. And it brings you there. I repeat it. HTTPS, then link linktr.ee/at_Google. This one. Not sure if it can be seen properly. Sawa. Now back to the module. So Africa's Talking is a platform that provides APIs for SMS, basically sending and receiving SMSs, voice, that is making and receiving phone calls. And you can use this to make automated calls. So you can even build a call center on it. And even bulk calls, that is calling multiple people at the same time, using a pre-recorded audio, or even conferencing. The other product Africa's Talking has is USSD. So these things like *100 hash, star maybe 234 hash, that's a USSD. And this is particularly ideal for when you're targeting people without smartphones. Or maybe you're targeting a place with bad internet. Yeah. And this is popular with industries like banking, microfinance. Let me reshare my screen. I think it's gone. Yes, so USSD is popular in industries like banking and finance, things like circles. The other product we have is airtime. Basically, you can sell airtime, and you give it at a 4% discount. So this means airtime worth 100 bob, you can get it at 96 bob. And you can build a business out of it. Something else you can do with the airtime is gifting people, yeah, running promotions and things like that. Other APIs that we have is Insights API or the SimSwap API. This is the one that helps you to prevent account takeovers, yeah. say someone's SIM card has been replaced, and instead of the OTP going to the person it was intended to, it goes to the new user of that SIM card. So with the SIM swap API, you can prevent that. You can basically know when to send an OTP and when not even to send. The other API that we have is under chat API, categorically WhatsApp. Yes, and we also have mobile data. Mobile data is almost similar to airtime. But the beautiful thing about our APIs is that they are super simple. It doesn't take you more than 5 minutes to send something, assuming you've already had an account created. They are easy to use and they are almost similar. So if you know how to use one API, using the other is super seamless. And we are going to see that in action. So the first step to using our APIs is having an account. And then at the top here, you get, let me use incognito so. So at the top here, you get this login prompt, this login button, and you click on it, and if you have an existing account, you can just key in your credentials. If you don't, you can register. Now, it's up to you whether you want to register manually by typing first name, last name, or using social logins, that is GitHub, Google, and Microsoft. So once you've registered using the four options, any of the 4 options, you can now log in, and if you are logged in, okay. If you are logged in, it's going to take you to account.africastocking.com. So now this is the Africa Stocking dashboard. This is where your account exists. Inside the account, inside the dashboard, you're going to see this big button or big link called New Team, Add a New Team. So the essence of a team is that first it holds multiple apps. So if you're a developer, or maybe assuming say you're even a freelancer, you can have all your clients' apps inside one team, or maybe you're an agency. Or say you're a business with multiple locations, you can have each location with their own app. It's basically up to you. So you click on Add New Team and give it a name. It can be anything. Then you click Save, and there a team has been created. Now, once you've created, you can open that team, and herein you're going to see apps, members, and settings. Settings, you basically change the team name and change the billing notifications email. You probably may not need to do this, but what's important is the app bit. This is where now you click Create App if you already don't have. When you click on it, you're going to get a prompt that asks for the name, username, country, and currency. Name can be anything. Username can also be anything, except that it needs to be unique. So, for example, right now, if I try put a common name like Test, it's gonna fail because Test is already an app that exists. Yes, then there's country and currency. These one are mostly important because they determine how your transactions gonna happen. So things like airtime is going to restrict you based on country. Yep. Now, once you've done that, you can click on an app, and on the top left, here you're going to see how much is in your app. So if it's your first time signing up, and this is your first app, at the top here you're going to get 10 shillings that you can use to test different APIs. Now, when running our APIs, the 2 most important things is username and API key. Those are the things we use to authenticate you. So copy your username, paste it somewhere. We are going to come back to the ideal place. And then go under settings and click API key. So settings is on the left menu. So open settings and click API key. He's going to prompt you to enter your password, the password that you created your account with. And by the way, if you use social logins, there is that next step after social logins that prompts you to create a new password. So click request, and what happens is that a link is sent to your email, and once you click that link, it's going to return you here, but this time it has a code that you can now click to generate an API key. And I will do that. Let me stop sharing my screen temporarily. So I can open my email. Yes, you have a question? Sorry? If you... Yes. So he asked when he generates the API key whether the free credits gonna be consumed. The answer is no. It's going to be consumed when you start now making API calls. Yeah, and different API calls cost different. Yeah, we are going to see that in action. So when we entered our password and clicked generate, we got this email. And inside this email, there's this generate new API key button. When you clicked on it, it took you to this step where you can now click generate. Yeah. These are security measure that we added recently because we are strong believers in security and building secure apps. So now this is my API key. So you can now copy it and now go back to your notebook to run it, to use it. So there are multiple ways you can use to add your API key to Colab. The first one is by coming here manually and entering a variable. So in this case, my variable here, or my key here is AT_API_key in caps. And then pasting the API key that I generated from a previous step, pasting it inside value. That's one way. The second way, if you want to play around with the notebook, is writing code that generates a UI, and then you use that UI to populate. So you basically paste here, and once you do that, behind the scenes, these values are saved in the secrets. Now, if you're on your local computer, there are many ways to do that, but personally, I advise people to use the .env file, where you come and add your key value pairs. So maybe I could call mine API, then give it equals, then paste my key. So basically, it's up to you. What you find ideal. So nice. So now, if you are doing all these actions inside Colab, something that's important to know is that whenever Colab needs to access your secrets, it needs you to turn on this switch. Otherwise, if you haven't turned on this switch, Notebook won't be able to see the key. Again, now if you're using Colab, for you to import those keys, you need to write this piece of code, and we are using Google Colab user data by running from google.colab import user data. The next line is basically retrieving the credentials. Mine had a value AT underscore username for the username, and I'll show you who it is. This one, AT underscore username. And the next thing that I'm pulling in is AT underscore API key. Oh, but there's something else I didn't mention about collab, is later you can collaborate. So here on the right is Sylvia and Manye Ben, and now this is me inside here. So we are basically chatting about this collab. It's a really cool feature. So whenever you're forming teams to build things, this is something that you can utilize to write code together. So now, after importing those, I'm now just printing just to make sure my username is back successfully, and that's where I run this command. Now, something I didn't mention is that you don't have to use. Okay, let me go. So when you go to account.africastocking.com, the process that I explained is about creating a team and an app. But say you don't want to spend money yet, you just want to test things out. You can use the Sandbox app. So you come here and create and click on Go to Sandbox, and you're going to see an orange interface, an interface with an orange primary. Or is it secondary? UX people in the room. So here you have Sandbox as a username. API key, you still generate it the same way. Under settings, click API key, it's going to generate. So as it was in my case here, the credentials that I used were Sandbox credentials. That's why when I printed username, I got Sandbox. So now with that said, let's run our first API. We can use SMS or airtime. So the way you do is now, which we ran up there, pip install Africa Stocking for the Africa Stocking package. We have different packages. For example, we have the NPM one, so the Node.js one, which is actually one of the best ways to know everything that we have is by visiting our GitHub. So in our GitHub, you're going to see different of our SDKs. For example, what we have pinned here is the Node SDK. We have the Python, we have the PHP, we have the Java, we have the Ruby. There is one for R, sorry, not R, Rust. There's one for Rust here, there's a .NET. Yeah, there are many more under view all repositories. And if yours doesn't exist, you can recreate it the way that I showed you how to do it in Postman. We also have a Postman collection, and it's still under this developers.africastocking.com. But then you scroll down, you're going to see the Postman collection, and I'll open it. And it opens. Yeah, it opens this section where now you can run our different APIs, API products. Yes, so something else I should have mentioned, besides the products APIs that we have, there is this extra one we called application data. And basically what this does, when you hit that endpoint, it returns information about your app. So these are things like balances, yeah? And maybe you might be wondering what's the use case of that API. One of them is to automate top-ups on your Africa Stocking wallet. So you can basically have like a cron job that checks the balance of your app. And if your balance is below a certain threshold, you can use maybe Daraja API to auto top up your wallet. You might be wondering what wallet I'm talking about, and I'll show you. So inside your app, at the top left here, this is the wallet. This is where you get your initial 10 shillings. So these 10 shillings are the one that's used, say, to send airtime, to send SMS, and maybe when it runs out and you need to top up, you come here under billing and top it up. So for example, I can use M-Pesa to top up. But now you see, this top up is happening manually, like you're there on the dashboard and you with your phone or with your card. Now, if you're going to use if you love to automate this, you can now utilize our get application data API and see the balance, and then I'll invoke Daraja to send money to this pay bill. So basically, you never have to run out of money on the dashboard. So now I'd like us to do a sample SMS or airtime call. So here at the top, I've installed Africa Stocking API, and then I've done an import of the necessary libraries, which is the Collab and the Africa Stocking package. Something that I need to mention, anytime you want to run something like on a terminal, you add an exclamation at the front. If you don't add it, it's read like regular code. So that's why pip install has that exclamation at the front. Now, after doing that, the second set of code that I'm running is basically importing the username and the API key and the customer number. This is another variable that I added, a secret that I added. And it's basically a +254 number. The next thing is initializing the specific products. So you have done SMS equals africastocking.sms service. Airtime equals africastocking.airtime service. Next, here I have a function for sending bulk SMS. It looks long, but the actual bit that's sending the SMS is just this, sms.send. The rest is just validation. Basically, I'm just checking whether do I have recipients. If I don't have recipients, it returns empty. And then after I've sent the message, I print out bulk SMS sent to X number of recipients. And then the last line there is basically exception for handling errors. Here is another function for sending airtime. Again, at the top is basically code for validation, ensuring that we have, not validation, ensuring that we have the correct parameters in the correct format. So you have amount, recipient code, and recipients. Sorry, recipients, amount, and currency code. Currency code in this case is Kenya shilling. The part that's actually sending SMS, the code the essential code is just this one line. So APIs are that simple. And let me run this. Yes. So after running it, I get this response. And how this response looks like. Let me format it properly. Whenever I need to format JSON, I usually run this copy command inside the browser and paste my JSON inside. And when I paste it, I can now view it properly. So here is how the response looks like after sending my API call. I have the first one, which is error message, which is none because everything was successful. the number of the num sent, which is basically the number of people that received airtime, which is 1. The responses, which here have amount as 20 shillings. So responses is basically an array, and inside it has multiple objects. So inside that, the first object or the first recipient, there's amount, discount, error message, phone number, request ID, and status. Status is sent, request ID is important when you're tracking your transaction on a database. Phone number is basically the phone number of my recipient. Error message is none because it was successful. Discount is the amount of discount that Africa Stocking gave me. So out of this, and then amount is the amount that the end user received, that the recipient received. So basically from this response, it cost me 0.8 less than if I would have made regular airtime, than if I would have sent airtime in a regular way. I want to reshare my screen because it's gone. Yes. Sorry? Yes. Yes, 20 shillings. 0.8 discount. Yes. Yes. So as you've seen, I'm looking for that. Yes. So as we've seen, the lines that you use to send airtime is basically this airtime.send. This other one here is just validation. And we can be sure by going to the developer documentation. And this is how you use our documentation. So you go to the specific product and click on the API reference. So on the right, there is API reference. On the left, there is tutorials. So you click on the API reference. Basically, the first page you see just explains the process. So on the right is your web application. So maybe this could be your Next.js app, or maybe your Express app, or maybe your Flask app. In the middle is Africa Stocking API Cloud, and on the other end is a recipient. So basically, you're invoking a request to API Cloud, to AT API Cloud, and then AT API Cloud sends the airtime. And then, when the phone on the other end receives the airtime, a notification is sent from the telco to Africa Stocking Cloud, and AT Cloud then informs your app. So basically, you are guaranteed to know whether a person received airtime or not. And we are going to cover this in the next module on callback URLs. Next, so here is where now you see the actual thing happening, sending. So in my case, I used Python. And as you can see here, you have provided the username and API key to initialize the SDK, the API. The SDK, not the API. Then the next thing, I initialize the service, which is airtime. And then down here, I made the actual sending by just feeding the phone number and the amount and the currency code. And then I got the responses. So there are also other parameters that you can pass in. For example, request metadata, it allows you to track a request. So maybe if internally you have an internal ID of a transaction, you can take it and feed it inside the request metadata, and you're going to get it back in the response. What else? Yeah, pretty much it. The rest you can just open the developer documentation and utilize. So up until there, any question? Kuna swali?
Not a question. Unajua kuna time unaenda faster kidogo. Napotea. Faster kidogo.
Nipunguze speed.
Yes.
Sawa. Yes.
From your wallet, how much are we, when I send to Safaricom, Airtel, the different telco, the telcos that you have, the different lines that you have, is it going to put from the same wallet?
Yes, yes. So,
Or is it intelligent to know that I'm sending to telco? It's intelligent to know that I'm sending to Safaricom. I don't have to do gymnastics.
yes. So, he's basically asking whether, whether from the API have to specify the telco. Whether in the API have to specify the telco, right? So our APIs are intelligent enough to know the phone number that you provided belongs to this telco, yeah? So you don't have to worry about telco, yeah? And here's a funny thing. Let me open the documentation. We send to so many telcos, including Equitel, JTL, Fiber, yeah. In Kenya we have 5, Equitel, JTL, Safaricom, Airtel, Telcom. Uganda we have even MTN and Laika, Airtel, etc, etc. Yes, follow up. Yes.
Check.
Shillings. Yeah. Yes, yes. So regardless of the telco that you're sending to, the rate is the same. Nice. So we basically looked into sending your first API call using Africa Stocking. So it's the same process using SMS. So you provide a message and a recipients, a list of recipients, and then you use SMS.send. And SMS is coming from this. The SMS variable is coming from this. Oh, good. So now that we've seen how to invoke our APIs, I'd like to offer you a mini challenge where now you can do it yourself. And if you bump into any error or issue, you can come to either me or the many engineers in the room, and we can fix it together. The challenge here is to use the SMS API to send a custom message to yourself. Then I want you to change the recipient number and the message content to be something else. And then print the API response to identify the status of the message, whether it was delivered or not. The cost, how much it costs you to send an SMS, and the message ID of this SMS. And then if it is successful, let me know. If it's not, also let us know. Actually, let us know for everything. I don't know where it said. Yeah. So, yeah, and if you have any... Let me share my screen. Correct. Good, good. Yes. So, also, besides talking to the engineers in the room, you can also share, take note of any challenges and share them in a discussion forum, which is community.africastocking.com, or even the Slack channel. Yes. So we've already covered even airtime APIs, so we can skip that bit. There's also a second mini challenge. Now you can decide even to use airtime API. Basically change the recipient in amount to be sent, and again print out the status, total amount, and transaction ID, not message ID. Yes, so that's pretty much for module 1. And what we are going to cover in Module 2 is basically voice API. So we are going to see how to make or receive calls and how to record and playback audio. We are not going to cover USSD in the next module. Yeah. So our engineer will take us into the deep. It's such a very interesting API. You're going to see it. Yeah. So in summary, we've learned how APIs are, what APIs are, how they work. We've explored the Africa Stocking API platform and products. We've seen how you can make API calls in Collab and how you can send SMS using Africa Stocking. We've also looked into authentication, basically the API keys and the username and the responses of it, and security, which is basically hiding them. Yeah, so at this point, anyone with a question? Sawa sawa. Let me hand over back to Mr. MK.
Thank you so much, Dagi. Give a lot of applause to Dagi for such a wonderful presentation. So I'll request quickly we grab some breakfast. Let's spend like 10 minutes on that and come back so that we can continue. Just leave your machine where it is, grab some breakfast and come back. But for those who have not connected to the internet, go to Westerwell Mombasa, not the guest one. And the password is... I don't want to go live with that because it's the passwords. Yeah. We can start here, grab some breakfast, then followed by the second row. Quickly, so that we save some time. And then if you have any question, please make sure you ask. If you have not checked in, ensure you have checked in. If you have not registered, the tickets are still open. Ensure you register so that you can get support materials. Thank you so much. And enjoy your breakfast. Yes, please. Wonderful. The guys finishing up your breakfast, please come with it so that we cover some ground. Thank you so much. So just to give some housekeeping instructions. So if you want to go to the washroom, you just go out and then you request the Westerwell to open you the washroom. It's not accessible. They have some, they can assist you to open the washroom. And then the ladies is on the right, left, and the gents is on the right. For the wireless, connect to Westerwell, not the guests, and the password is Magic 2024. 2024, one word, small caps. So I'd like to invite Dagi once more to finish the second part. But Dagi, take as shortest time possible so that we can be able to cover in time. Is there any question? For those asking for tutorials, the one that are on the order, yeah, so check them. The same tutorials are on YouTube, and actually there are more updated ones in case you wanna run through them. Also ensure you join the Slack so that you can follow up in case you have any question, and ensure you get the assistance that you need.
Just a minute, I share my screen. Perfect. Yes. Yes. Thank you, MK. Thank you. Through them, we'll cover what APIs are and how they work. We covered what APIs are and how they work. We covered REST API fundamentals, API authentication in Collab, sending SMS and airtime with Africa's talking APIs, reading and securing API. Securing APIs. In this next section, we will look into other AT APIs and integrating them into one workflow. Then we will handle the concept of asynchronous webhooks and callbacks, and we look into them in detail. We're also going to build AI-powered 2G bot. Look like SimSwap and Voice API and cloud functions. Actually, cloud functions will come into the next module. The tools, I will use Flask, but on your end you can use any other, Express, Next.js, name it. Yeah. Anyone need a question before I proceed? And again, if I'm too fast, feel free to slow me down. So let's keep the airtime bit since we've already done that. This was the hands-on challenge that I'd offered. So we are going to skip that. And again, if you have any issues with it, feel free to... Your faces look puzzled. So feel free to reach out to the engineers. Anyway, let's jump into SIM swap API. So how many people have heard about SIM swap fraud? Nice. You know what it is? Or let me give a mic to someone who hasn't spoken. Thank you. Let me ask someone who hasn't spoken.
Hello. So SIM swap is when somebody uses your mobile number to do transactions without you being aware. Yeah.
Perfect. Well, you wanna add? Oh. Yes.
But how do they get the PIN?
That's a very good question. Anyone with an answer to how they get your PIN?
Okay, I won't answer about the PIN first, but I think SIM swap is when somebody gets the all access to your SIM card without your knowledge. At the same time you are using it. I mean, somebody registering your another SIM card when you're using it at the same time.
Let me add to what I was saying earlier. So it's like cloning your SIM card. Mtu anatumia. Ana clone tu SIM card yako tena anaitumia.
Interesting. I'm also finding new things, but it's a good thing. Yes, so correct. And he's asked a very important question. How does the attacker get your PIN? So one of the ways is by convincing the telco that they are you. So maybe they can call customer care. This used to be popular a while back. They used to call customer care, impersonate your details, maybe give out your ID number. Then they call you, they get your last top up, last topped up airtime, your last transactions. Basically, the attacker plays the telco, then they come on your side and then they play you. Then they use that information now to replace your SIM card. Yeah. So there's an aspect of replacing your SIM card. Yeah. And first of all, I'd love you to applaud him. How old are you?
10.
You're 7. 10. Wow, congratulations. Yes. Yes, so SIM swap frauds. So SIM swap fraud claiming to be you whenever OTPs are sent to your number. So think of it this way. You have your bank, say Bank X, let me not name banks, but you have a bank account and your 8 OTPs, one-time pins, are sent via SMS to your phone number. But now this time round, you no longer have access to that phone number, so someone else does, yeah? So now they can reset your entire account, they can verify transactions, they can send money elsewhere, or let's even leave banks. Say your Instagram account, same thing. So basically after owning your phone number, they can now take over your account, yeah? So that's how that fraud happens. And basically at the end of it all, identity theft. Now, why is this SimSwap API important to you as a developer? Whenever you're building applications, you can, before making sensitive transactions, you first check whether that SIM card has been swapped before. So, for example, say you've built a SACCO system. Now, before you issue out a loan, or maybe a big amount of loan, you check this phone number where you're sending money to, whether it's been swapped recently. This SimSwap API allows you to get that swap status information. So if it has been swapped recently, you suspend the transaction and request for more KYC. That is KYC, know your customer, like ID details, things like that. And if the user is unable to provide that, then you know you've just prevented fraud from happening. So this is how this entire flow works. On this side exists your application. So this could be your Next.js app. It could be your IoT device. It could be your banking system. Name it. Here in the middle is Africa's Talking API Cloud. And here in the end is the telco, say Safaricom. So you invoke, say you want to issue out a loan. Before you issue the loan, you first check the telco. And then, so the telco will respond whether it has happened, and if yes, when it happened. So before this will be your test, or rather your challenge. But before we cover that, let's look at the actual code. So I'm back to the collab. We already did these pre-module checkups in the previous, so we won't do them again. What I'll do here is just basically reinstall the SDK and import the keys. I'm basically running all this so they can prepare us for this segment. So the actual code that you're going to use starts from here. So here you import your credentials, same as we did in Airtime and SMS. You're also going to initialize the SDK, again, same as in Airtime and SMS. We are calling Insights API. So you initialize by saying insights equals Africa's Talking.insights. Then here I'm basically defining a method called check_sim_swap, and I give it a phone number. The most important part of this code is just this line. Everything else is just making, try catch, things like that, and printing the response. But what's important is this insights.check_sim_swap_state. And it takes in one parameter, one mandatory parameter called phone numbers, which is a list of phone numbers. So basically you can check even 100 numbers at a go. So a good use case for this is when you're sending, say, airtime to thousands of people. You can check all of them at once, or even sending money, you can check all of them at once. And now once after I invoke that request, you get, let me run it. You get this response. And let me, So you get a very simple response that looks like you get a response that looks like this. So let's start from the bottom. There's this transaction ID. So this one, the transaction ID and the request ID will be important when you are handling back.
Share screen.
Oh, sorry, my screen is gone off. So the transaction ID and the request ID will be important because the second leg of this API involves a callback coming in, and the same callback carries these two. Yeah. So when you're making this request at the first time, you need to store these two values. Yeah. The second important value is this total cost and amount and currency code. Yeah. So basically, this number that you ran a check on. Again, each has a cost, and each has phone details, which is in this case Safaricom, country code 254 Kenya, the network code, and the phone number and the number type. Yeah. Then here again we have the request ID, which is important for the next leg, and then the status, which is queued. So once you've received that, you save the transaction ID, and we are going to see which part of it we are going to need. Now the lab challenge here is yes. Oh, what our request was? The request was to check the status, the SIM swap status of a phone number. Yes. No. Yes. Yes. And checking this happens in two legs. Now the second part of it is a callback that comes to us. It takes quite some top up, and it takes in phone number and amount, and it should call the check SIM card status, SIM swap status.